Good morning YouTube and welcome back to the vlog. Right, so today is a very exciting day. Well, it's a refeed day, which in bodybuilding means I get more food. So we are 2 weeks out. I was meant to be doing once a week uploads, but I essentially got pretty caught up in the whole prep and dealing with clients and getting busier, which is a good thing. It's taken my mind off the food, which is good. But I wanted to jump back on, make another vlog and essentially talk about the refeed that we are on. So currently, up until this point, we have been running low days to pretty much try and make, a certain weight cap. Not that I'm doing classic, I'm doing bodybuilding. So we are trying to shoot for the under 90s category, which in Australia or in New South Wales is the, the light heavyweight. But we want to come in nice and full of that. So the last few days have consisted of really low days, just trying to pretty much, deplete while managing fatigue, because that's what the end of prep is about. You want to try and manage fatigue as much as possible, slightly pull back in the volume, as you saw in my last video, where I spoke about, being limited to sort of 2-3 reps in reserve. And it's gotten to the point now where we've hit under that. So we managed to get down to 89.7 yesterday morning. Coach gave the go ahead for a refeed. And then this morning when I just sent in my check-in shots, which I'll put up here as well, we were given the go ahead for another refeed back to back, which is fantastic. So we've definitely worked for it, and I thought I'd pretty much take you guys along. So this isn't really a trial peak because we are still going to be running low days after this, but it is essentially just topping the body back up, minimizing fatigue, reducing inflammation, so then we can keep digging for another few days before we actually do our peak week, which will start in just over a week's time, which you guys will come along for as well. So to kick things off, we've got meal one. I've literally just finished cooking it up. So we have got our egg omelette. Usually this is just egg whites, but today we've got 2 whole eggs in here as well. And I've got all my salt measured out for the day. So I'm currently on 6 grams of salt total, and that will be spread evenly between all my meals, including my pre-workout shake, and yeah, just my sodium throughout the day. So meal one, 2 whole eggs, 300 ml egg whites. I've also got 200 grams of non-starch veg in here. So choices of veg are spinach and tomato. And then I just essentially fry this up. Now it's been sitting here for a while because I've been talking, so it might stick to the pan a bit. With that, which just got done in the toaster, we actually get 150 grams of sourdough as well. Now there is a meal plan that I do follow, obviously, but within that as well, I do have the ability to sort of macro track in terms of swapping out carb sources for what I know sits well with me. So for me, sourdough bread digests quite well. It is something that I was eating all off season as well. And then obviously our rice-based carbohydrates, which are both cereal. What else do I have? My rice flour, cream of rice, which is a staple in any bodybuilding meal, as you guys would know. Very easy sort of digestible carbohydrates that I know sit well with me year round. And when you know that a certain food works for you, there's no need to really sit there to go and change it. And the eggs are a little bit burnt, but it is what it is. And then we have our sourdough bread, which just got done in the toaster. Essentially, as we can see, we've got our egg white omelette with 2 whole eggs, 150 grams sourdough, about to go down the hatch. So hydration, another very important thing that's often overlooked. So especially when you are feeding this much, or throughout the day anyway, regardless of how much food you're on, I'm a very big advocate of keeping yourself hydrated, especially when you're in a depleted state and your joints and your muscles are prone to drying out. You want to make sure that you are constantly kept full of fluid throughout the day and that you are full of electrolytes. So I'm always got one of these little shaker bottles with me, 700 ml water, pretty much with every meal. I like to have it after I eat. I don't have it while I'm eating because you don't want to disrupt the digestive system. So this will sit here with me. I know that it needs to be drunk. I'll wait 10 to 15 minutes after I finish my meal. So that way it's not interfering with the digestion of the actual food. And then that'll stay the same pretty much every day. So 5 liters of water or fluid, And then today, I also get a litre of coconut water as well for intra-carbs, which again is just going to increase my potassium and sodium intake throughout the day, just to help essentially help keep me a bit fuller. So really looking forward to that. In case I didn't say, total macros for the day, I'll actually pull them up. So at the moment, we are running approximately 4,007 calories, 282 protein, 618.9, 619 carb, and 41.2 grams fat. So decent bit of refeed. I will still be quite hungry after this, so it's not by any means going to keep me full, but it is a massive difference compared to my low day food, which is only at, just over 2,200 calories. So definitely a shift in the right direction, help minimize fatigue. I already feel a lot better after yesterday's refeed than I have been for the majority of the week. And that's what these refeeds essentially serve that purpose for. It's to pretty much give you more of a psychological, lift, just to help get you through the last few stages of prep, especially when fatigue is through the roof, sleep is a bit, how you going? And having these little refeeds here and there, provided that you need them, which is something that, again, you should be communicating with your coach. And we're to the point now where we are doing daily check-ins. So every single morning, he's looking at photos of me fasted, seeing where the different, spots of fatigue are, how much inflammation is there, compared, and then we obviously communicate feedback of how I'm feeling, whether I'm mentally all there in terms of how productive I am throughout the day, whether I'm able to actually have the cognitive function to get all my client work done as well as my daily tasks. And then we make decisions based off that, paired with visuals and scale weight. So there is a bit of a process. You don't just have a refeed just because you're hungry. That's not what prep is about. It is something that you take when needed, just to help mainly with the psychological, but to also assist with fatigue management, especially towards the back end of prep. So before these go cold, I will tuck in because I just have gone on another monologue. We will see you guys for the pre-workout meal. All right, so meal one has just gone down the hatch, and what I like to do after each meal is actually go on a bit of a digestion walk. So usually I will do this outside, especially today since it is such a nice day, but I do have some client work to get to as well, a few check-ins and whatnot. So I'm just using the treadmill. Big advantage of having a treadmill in the house is that I can essentially do my steps quite easily, which is good. It's an investment well worth making, especially if you're someone who, is pretty strict with tracking their steps, which in bodybuilding, as we know, energy expenditure is very important, needs to be taken into account. So just a quick little digestion walk, help that meal go down. Obviously being, a higher carb day where my body isn't used to the influx of carbohydrates that are going to enter the system, it's important that we try and keep that digestion moving along nicely, so that way we're not feeling bloated, because very soon it will be time for meal 2 again, which is going to be one of my higher carb meals. So I like to structure all my carbohydrates around my training, at least the majority of them, and then that way I know that the glycogen is going to be used sparingly and essentially, give me the most full look and to promote training performance as well. So 5 to 10 minutes on the treadmill, just an easy brisk walk. I've already done my fasted cardio this morning, so it's not really cardio anymore. It's just 15 minutes on an incline walk. It was at the beginning of prep 5 times a week on the Stairmaster, but then as inflammation started to increase, my legs were losing a bit of detail, and we thought we needed to bring it down just to obviously make sure that we minimize fatigue, as we mentioned before. So the goal of the end of prep is not to necessarily do more, but it's to do less and focus on recovery, because by this point at 2 weeks out, all the hard work should already be done. That's if you've done a prep properly. So get the hard work in, prepare yourself. At the beginning of prep, dig when it's time to dig, and then when it's time to taper back and relax, that's when you emphasize making sure that the body is de-stressed, and we lower cortisol as much as possible, because it will affect the quality and the look of the physique on the stage. So quick 5 to 10 minutes walk here, then we will go in and do some client work, and it'll be time for our pre-workout meal. Just about going to the gym and executing our nutrition, we need to make sure that we are starting to track our daily scale weight, so I know when that we are having those fluctuations where we can start to move things and manipulate things from a nutritional point. Just remember, like I said to you when I trained with you last week, we need to make sure that we are emphasizing keeping these little 1%ers in check, because that's what's going to count over the long term. Right, as you just saw, we just did our client check-ins, so a bit of feedback there, just showing you the process of how I do things, and it is time for meal 2. So I always train after 2 meals, and today being a refeed, we have our Abe's blueberry bagels. So we get 2 of these, topped with 40 grams of jam. Strawberry jam is the jam that I like to go for. I always love it. I know some people are different. Some people like honey. I like strawberry jam. And then our intro workout, which is going to be a full litre of coconut water. So plenty of carbs definitely going in for today. I'm going to whip this up quickly and show you guys how it all comes together, but it's pretty basic. These were frozen, so I will defrost them in the microwave before toasting them, and then we will get the jam on top, and then essentially go and train. So we've got upper today, so which consists of a little bit of chest, triceps, delts, and some pull-ups actually. So a bit of an upper body overall session. Again, restricted to 3 reps in reserve because of where we are at 2 weeks out. But that's essentially it. I'll decide whether or not I film at the gym or not. I haven't made the decision yet. If I do, I'll see you guys there. If not, we will come back and you will see my giant bowl of gains post-workout, which is my favorite meal of the day, which is the cream of rice with Cocoa Pops and a whole bunch of other stuff in it. So really keen to show that one to you guys. It is a lot of food, but it is also something I'm very well looking forward to. All right, so meal 2 going down. Our bagels are toasted. We are going to add our 40 grams of jam. Now, when it comes to weighing condiments, I've said this in the past, you put your condiment on top of the scale, you click the tab button, and then whatever the number goes into minus is your desired amount. So that way, at the end, you can lick the spoon and you're not cheating. So we're going to put 40 grams total over these 2 bagels that I've cut in half. And that will be ample enough carbohydrates, plus the coconut water, let's not forget that, to be able to get us through this, let's call it a bit of a deload session, because I'm not really training for failure, as we said. So yeah, I'm gonna take into this, and then we'll see you for our post-workout meal. So we are back from the gym. We've got our big bowl of gains that's coming up right now. As I did mention, we did have our biggest meal of the day post-workout, because it is important to structure your carbs around your workout. Now, I have filmed this before, so it is the cream of rice bowl. I will show you guys how to make it in a separate video, but essentially we've got the big bowl out today because we actually get 140 grams of rice flour, which, if you haven't seen before how much actual volume that is, it is a lot, especially with everything else that's going in there. I was contemplating filming in the gym, but I honestly could not be staffed. It was quite busy as well. It's a nice day today here in Sydney. It's officially spring, so it is starting to warm up. There are people out and about. So I apologize for that one, but when we are in the off season, I promise I will get you some more gym vlogs. But cream of rice, so we have 140 grams of rice flour, which is about to go in. And then we are also going to put in 80 grams of Cocoa Pops, as well as 60 grams of whey isolate by Rule 1 Protein. By far, probably one of my favorite protein brands. Flavors are delicious. This one is frozen banana, which absolutely slaps. And we will add a medley of berries and stuff on top, as well as 15 grams of dark chocolate. So I will put that all together and show you the final product. When we're making the whey sludge, the trick, and I use a sludge instead of mixing it in because I just like the texture of it. The trick is you don't want to use too much water. You only use a little bit of water and you mix it in gradually, so that way you get the best consistency. So we're doing 60 grams of whey in terms of like total weight. And then what we are going to do is add our water gradually. It's 59, 1 more gram. We're going to gradually add our water in and give it a little mix, and that will turn into a nice little whey paste. And that is the best way, no pun intended, that I like to have my whey on top of my cream of rice. Just a little bit of water at the time. You can always put too little and then add more after, but once you put too much, you can't take any away. So just keep that in mind. Once it goes too watery, you fucked it. So we want to avoid that and make sure we get that really nice consistency to where it's almost like a cake batter. And that is essentially the look that we are going for. So just a little bit runny, but not too much. Meanwhile, our water is boiled and the kettle doesn't know when to turn off, so I've got to do that manually. Whack that on top. And now the trick with this is to use a whisk. So because I'm using 140 grams of rice flour, I'm doing roughly 700 ml of water, which to me I find is a perfect ratio between not it being too runny, but again, like a similar consistency to the whey sludge. We want it to be that sort of cake battery consistency. We're gonna whisk that up and then throw this in the microwave to let it set for 2 minutes. And then we'll top it up with our toppings. Right, so as you can see, that's a pretty hefty meal. There's like over 1 kilo of food in here. I'm not even exaggerating. And the totals for this meal are, you're gonna laugh at this, 223 grams, or 223.9, so 224 grams of carbs, 11.9 fat, 71.6 grams of protein. And it comes at 1,306 calories. So, big meal. Gonna take a while to digest, which is why I do my digestion walks. And something that I keep harping on about, guys, supplementation. Making sure that you have a good digestive enzyme that you are taking with big meals like this is going to definitely help the process along, especially if you are someone that is prone to bloating. So what I'll have, this is actually my post-workout vitamin stack. Essentially, I'll actually go through them. So we've got our fish oil, which is stuck at the bottom in there. We take 2 of those a day. That's our digestive enzyme. We have 2 magnesium for post-workout inflammation that we take, and then the other 2 we'll take at night before we go to sleep. We have our vitamin C. Now, vitamin C I take post-workout because it is an anti-inflammatory. If you take it pre-workout, it will affect the quality of your pump, being an anti-inflammatory. So, save your vitamin C for post-workout. And then these 5 here that are exactly the same are part of my kidney stack that I use to make sure that the kidneys are kept healthy, because the kidneys are one of the very important organs in the body that don't actually regenerate themselves. The liver can be brought back pretty quickly if it goes into liver failure. Once your kidneys are gone, you're finished. So, being a bodybuilder who puts his body through a lot of stress, I make sure that these are a #1 priority. They are, yes, they're an investment. You do have to keep rebuying them every month, but I can't stress how important it is that, especially if you are a bodybuilder in the enhanced space, that you are looking after your internal organ health. In 10 years' time, your body will thank you. So invest in some good quality dosed vitamins. You want to make sure that they're actually clinically dosed and not just the rubbish that you get from the local chemist or some cheap stuff off Amazon, because a lot of those vitamins are underdosed. So for all of my clients, I'm always making sure that the vitamins I give to them or recommend to them are quite well dosed, especially people that are using, different supplements that are going to impact their organ health. So Webster pack makes your life a lot easier. I do have different size Webster packs for when I'm traveling as well. I know it might seem a little bit anal on that end, but it's important to me. And if you're someone that genuinely wants the best out of your health, it'll be important to you as well. So get your vitamins in. Now, I am completely starving, so I'm going to smash this big bowl of gains. Now, as you saw in the B-roll that we filmed before, we've got a whole bunch of stuff in here, but essentially it's just a big bowl of carbs with some protein, and then we will see you back for meal #4. Back for meal 4. So, pretty standard, chicken, potato, and some pineapple. Now, I do have the pan over here heating up already. She's smoking, so what I actually need to do is give that a bit of a wipe before it burns. So I will put you guys down for 1 second while I give this a wipe, because We don't want to start a fire in the kitchen. So what I like to do is give it a bit of a spray just to lubricate the surface. And then essentially I will put the chicken on there just so it doesn't really stick. I'm not actually adding additional oil. I'm just essentially lubricating it so that way it's not sticking. So we're going to get that thrown in. I will show you guys the pineapple that I have with it. So we've got 200 grams of pineapple, and that will be meal 4. We've got 2 more meals to go after this. I was doing a bit of client work, also posted up on my socials, which is a full-time job by itself at the moment, but it's got to be done. So I will get into this, and then yes, we have 2 meals left to go after that. So this is just going to be purely, you know, what I eat on a refeed day. Again, once I do sit down and tuck into this, once it's cooked, I will post up the macros, but it's pretty standard. You know, like I said, 200 grams chicken breast, 300 grams of potato, normal white potato, and 150 grams of non-starch veg, which I choose to do in the version of beans. So I like beans, they're pretty voluminous, they're nice, they don't have much of a taste, and we like to throw a little bit of sauce on top as well, which I'll show you. Alrighty guys, so pretty plain and simple, my sauces of choice, and I do track these, by the way. Don't think that they go untracked, especially this close in. As a general rule of thumb, in the off season I won't track sauces as much, but now that we are a couple of weeks out, every gram matters. So what we're gonna do is, part of our daily salt, we're gonna sprinkle over the top here as the first thing. And then what we're going to do is add a little bit of reduced salt and sugar ketchup, literally like 5 mils. I don't add more than that. These are all very low calorie sauces. A bit of French's mustard for the flavor, and then the good old Frank's Red Hot sauce. So these sauces I keep the same year round. And as I said, I make roughly about 5 to 10 grams of room worth of carbs per day, just to take into account for the sauces. And I'm still probably being a bit conservative. So to give you an example, this one here, for a serving size of 15 mil, which I used way less of than that, it's literally 4 calories. But if I'm using this twice a day, say I'm using, you know, up to 10 mil, then I know that is roughly about 8 calories worth of sauce, which is like 3 or 4 grams of carbs. And then same thing with the sugar-free ketchup. So this is a serving size of 15 mil, and the Australian measurement is 40 kilojoules. So the way we convert it into calories is divide that by 4.2, which will roughly equate to roughly, again, 10 calories. So if I'm using this twice a day, we're looking at roughly, you know, and if it's a full serving too, which I never do, we're looking at another sort of 7 or 8 calories worth of sauce from here. And then the mustard is another 3 calories per 5 mil, and I use this twice a day as well. So all in all, I'm looking at about 20-ish calories worth of sauce across spread my total daily food. And I will leave up to 10 grams of carbs per day to actually account for that, so we're not actually going over. So it's not about eating bland chicken and rice or potatoes or whatever. It's about knowing different ways to actually add food to your flavor so you can enjoy it year round, be able to eat the same thing all the time and not get sick of it. And this is just one little hack that I like to use in order to enjoy my food even while I'm in prep. All right, meal 5. Pretty much the same as last. I'm not gonna show you the whole process of me heating it up again on the pan because you already know what that looks like, but you get the gist of it. So this meal here, we got 200 grams of lean fillet steak, or rump steak as we call it in Australia. And then we've got our 350 grams of spud-like potatoes and 75 grams of mixed peas, carrot and corn. So that'll go down. It is the last sort of savory meal of the day. This is pretty much the same actually from refeed to low days. Again, it's all about consistency, keeping in the same foods that I'm used to, just increasing the volume, you know, whether it be via rice or carbohydrates or whatnot. And then our lucky last meal, which I will show you after, is the famous Ninja Creamy that I have every single night. It's literally been getting me through prep. I can't wait to show that one to you guys. We will see you back for our dessert, which is meal 6. So our 6th and final meal, as promised, is going to be a Ninja Creamy. Now, what I've done is I've already actually run this through the creamy once on light ice cream. It's the best setting to run it. And what we're going to do, because it's still a bit frozen around the sides, we're going to grab a knife and just loosen up that ice. before we throw it in for a respin. Usually 1 to 2 respins on the mixing setting is going to be what you want to do, so you can get that really nice creamy texture. And the secret to actually getting the creamiest Ninja Creamy, especially one that's really low calorie like this one, so even though today was a refeed, my Ninja Creamy stays the same. So this is like literally 145 calories for a whole pint, as you can see. But the secret ingredient, is this thing here called xanthan gum. So this is gonna add that fluffiness to it, but if you put too much, it'll cook your digestion. So literally 2 grams. That's the maximum that you wanna use. Any more than that, you might run into digestive issues. So put that in. Obviously, you have to freeze it for 24 hours the night before. And with this one, I use at the moment the same that goes in my cream of rice, the frozen banana whey isolate. You can use whatever you want. And the good thing with Ninja Creamies is that you can essentially get as creative as you want with the toppings and tailor it custom to your macros. So that's why I love them so much. During prep especially, this has been an ultimate lifesaver. So as I said, you get a lot of volume for an extremely low calorie meal. And it just saves you pretty much having a protein shake because you have it in the form of ice cream. And who doesn't like ice cream? So we're going to put this in for one more mix in, and then I will show you the final product. And there you have it, guys. After one mix in, all we need to do, top it with a bit of cinnamon, which is optional, but I love cinnamon. And as you can see, you've got a nice, beautiful, creamy textured ice cream that you can enjoy every single day of the week for literally less than 200 calories. So that is a full day of eating on a refeed for me. Now, the next video I do shoot will probably be the peak week one. So I want to take you guys through peak week, show you how the whole peaking process works. Essentially, it is going to be the process of filling up to get ready for the show, which I can't wait for, and I want to take you guys along for the journey. So I'm going to get tucked into this. That's it for this video. Make sure if you do enjoy this style of content, guys, hit that like button, make sure you subscribe, watch the other videos on my channel. It really helps and supports me knowing that you guys are actually enjoying, what I'm putting out there. But aside from that, happy lifting, stay big, and we'll catch you guys for the next video.